Hello, everybody, and welcome to Tech Talk Thursday. The week has flown by, and we've got a very special guest, which we'll be bringing on very shortly. We have Joel from Meld Studio. He's the founder and CEO, and looking forward to catching up with Joel in a second. But first of all, let's get Mr. McKenna on the show, because, Martin, we've had a busy week as well. How you doing? How's it going?
I'm doing good. Yeah, we've been busy recording and re-recording and then realizing we're missing stuff out and then re-recording and getting other people to do recordings and stuff like that while we continue to develop our LinkedIn live training course for those who are wanting to go live on LinkedIn as easily as possible. But that's exactly what we're doing today along with YouTube, and I'm looking forward to finding out about a new streaming tool.
Exactly. So we're very excited to have Joel on the show. We've just got a few people coming in already. Well, goodness me, all the chats coming in. We have Ice Age Sen. Thank you for joining us. Valerie, thank you. Happy Thursday to you.
Hey, Valerie.
We've got the Frugal Streamer joining us as well. Hey, thank you for joining us. Well, Joel, if you give us a thumbs up in the green room, if you're ready to come on, we'll bring you on. There's people already here wanting to hear all about it. Without further ado, let's bring on Joel from Meld Studio. Joel, thank you so much for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you.
Hey, Joel.
How are you doing?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on.
You're very welcome. So, Joel, for people who don't know you, and I'm sure there's so many people who've heard about Meld Studio recently with a recent buzz around the software, if you wouldn't mind just giving everybody here an introduction on who you are and a little bit about Meld Studio.
Yeah, I'm Joel, the CEO of Meld Studio. Let's see, how far back do we want to go? We could start with when I was a kid.
As far as you like, no problem.
My background's in primarily software engineering. I worked on some research to do like AI to design 3D printable structures for a couple of years in a research lab here in New York. I worked for a company that was building the world's fastest GPU accelerated database. They use it to analyze like shipping traffic and a whole bunch of things. I worked on that for a couple of years. So my background's mostly in software engineering. And yeah, it was 2019, just before the pandemic, I started live streaming just for fun and kept going live. And I got addicted to the feeling you get in the beginning where you're kind of watching your view count and it goes, it goes above just one, which is like you and another tab. And sometimes if you're feeling ambitious, you may have another account and another tab, so two. And you go, oh, wait, someone new joined. And then they sent a first message, and I really fell in love with that experience and that dynamic, and I just basically kept going live. I had a full-time job. I would go live for like 8 hours a day.
Wow, that's impressive.
And yeah, it was a lot of fun. And so I was doing music streams, and my channel became quite popular during the pandemic, and even kind of before. I basically Twitch was my primary platform, and at the time there's I mean, still to this day to an extent there's a certain like kind of aesthetic on Twitch where it's like a lot of overlays, a lot of alerts, and a lot of LED lights. The famous I forget what they're called, but like the panel lights in the background with the little diagonal design. Everyone has these, and I came on. I basically only ever had one scene all the way, through my channel starting day one all the way up until I was a Twitch partner. I didn't even have a microphone to begin with. I was just like typing in chat. And yeah, just kind of did my own thing. I ended up getting a nice camera, got sort of into kind of the whole production value of it. If you're only going to have one scene, how can you make it a real how can you stand out and make it a unique experience? So I came up with this like color grade that I would use that kind of brought out some really specific colors that I ended up sort of making part of my brand. And get really into the audio side of things, having like VSTs on the master bus to really, kind of like polish up the sound and all the little things. But um, yeah, the whole experience, I always found it sort of fascinating how you can make these really big upgrades by buying gear, right? You can buy a microphone and that will take you from, the microphone that's built into your computer, and then now you've like really leveled up in a way that your audience will notice. And then you can buy a camera and you can really, sort of dial things in that way. But I always found it strange that sort of no matter how big or small your channel is, everyone's using OBS, especially on Twitch.
Right.
Um, and I started really thinking about, I mean, I think a lot of it for me kind of started with frustrations on the audio side of things. At the time, and this may still be the case, but on Mac OS, in order to share your computer audio, let's say I have like Ableton Live or something like that open and I'm producing a song or something and I want to share this, you needed to buy this $100 piece of software that would allow you to loop back the audio in and capture it in OBS. And um, and then it was still a little bit wonky in some ways. And then I had this other issue that I was always fighting, which is I had this little Focusrite audio interface. It's quite common. I think at the time I looked it up. It's like what audio interface
I have the same one.
do I need? And it's a stereo audio interface, and I had an XLR microphone that was plugged in here, and that was it. In OBS though, it shows up as 2 channels, and I only needed it to pick the mono channel. And again, you have to, the software comes in, the $100 software comes in to save the day, and it would allow you to turn it into mono. Okay, so fast forwarding a little bit, sat down one weekend, started building, sort of my own thing. This is the problem with software engineering: is you look at other software and you say, wait, I can build that in a weekend. Many weekends have gone by at this point. But one of the first things I built was the audio mixer, and this is still a big feature and a big and popular feature in Meld today. Is you can just solve this same problem by clicking Edit, check Mono, and then pick the channel that you want to use, and now it works. Just right out of the box. Things like that. And that's kind of where the idea for Meld started.
Right.
So yeah, I would say our overall vision, which covers a lot of things with Meld, is that we think that it's possible to rethink the experience for going live and creating video content in general. And we have a lot of ideas around this and things that we want to experiment with. And in the beginning, it was kind of like, okay, can we make a version of OBS that's like 100 times better, 1,000 times better, whatever it may be. And that's sort of what we've been working on for the last few years. And now we're looking forward and saying, okay, what's next? And that's something that, I think we'll end up unpacking sort of our big idea for how we can combine the process for capturing content and editing it into one tool. We think that's a really big opportunity. It's something that no one is really no one has taken a crack at. And I think we're onto something really interesting. So
I think so too, definitely. And there's a huge amount of love in the room for you. So I'm trying to keep up with the comments.
I clicked away from chat.
No, yeah. We've got 24 people watching at the moment. So we're there's a lot going on. So we've got Nadreem saying very excited to hear both parties. Never streamed in my life, but Meld looks very easy to begin with. I'll be using it when the time comes. And that's the thing. And we'll talk about that in a second, about how Meld is a really sort of a low barrier to entry to getting sort of live and up and running compared to OBS. And I'll talk about my OBS experience in a second. We've got Lux joining us. Hey, Lux, thank you so much over on LinkedIn. Great to see you. Long time no see, Lux. Absolutely. Yeah, we only was working with and streaming with Lux yesterday. We've got Ice Age. I've got too many people to cope here. So it's a lot of love in the room for you, which is great. So let's start with sort of the comparisons with OBS. And obviously OBS has been around for a long time. when I started my sort of streaming journey, just like you, Joel, I'm a musician as well, part time, but I never streamed, never was confident enough to go streaming with music live. But I started with OBS, and I wanted to be more sort of dynamic with the content. I want to try and help little people out a little bit more with video production and so on. And I thought, well, I haven't got the best internet connection. I don't really have any software. What am I going to pick? And I looked around, and of course, there's OBS, and OBS was available for the Mac. I'm a Mac user. I thought, well, let's try and get this thing working. And it was okay. I mean, I got it working. But what I did find is I couldn't really get the stream to stay up. I didn't have a great internet connection. I was changing the rate of bandwidth that I needed and so on. And you fix it at this point, and then there's not enough bandwidth, and it keeps breaking, drop frames. Anyway, it was a bit of a mess. I couldn't really get things shared how I wanted. And then I wanted to have guests coming on the show, and that really just messed everything up for me. So at the time, Meld wasn't available. There was other platforms out there, and I basically went over to Ecamm Live, and that's what I'm using right now. But I think a lot of people have the same problem that I had, whereby it's not the easiest way to start streaming if you pick OBS, because then there's a ton of plugins that you really want to potentially use. You want to start making your overall layout look good with rounded corners, various other things. Those seem to be very hard to do in what I thought was going to be a simple way of getting this stream set up looking exactly how I wanted. I wasn't too worried about the bells and whistles, but I did want some interaction with chat and all that kind of thing. So then you had to get Social Stream Ninja and all kinds of other stuff. So tell us about maybe a little bit about your theory around sort of taking OBS and maybe some of that complexity, and how you've actually made Meld Studio now to be really a simplified version, but just as powerful, and in some ways, as we're going to talk about later, even more powerful, maybe coming in the future. What was your thought around sort of taking OBS and making it simple for people to just get on with it and start streaming?
Yeah, I do think it's important to kind of give a shout out to OBS here, because it's a really interesting project in that it's sort of an outlier um, uh, compared to a lot of other creative tools, right? Like if you think I want to start doing photography, and then I want to edit my photos, and I really want to make a go at this professionally. People are going to say, all right, you need an Adobe subscription, you need to get Lightroom, and you need to get Photoshop, and you need these other things. Same with video, right? It's like, oh, I want to start getting clients and creating some video content. They would say, all right, get Premiere Pro, get Final Cut Pro, get any of these things, none of which are open source and community led. But OBS is, and OBS is the like really has been seen as the best way to go live, and it like I think early on they had this really important unlock, which was a really impressive technical achievement. It allowed you to capture your gameplay and go live on one computer, and that's what enabled Twitch to exist. Like, which later sells to Amazon for $1 billion. And so it is really a thing that kind of started off, at least from the perspective of sort of video game live streaming, it kind of kicked off the whole thing. So yeah, our view is that we want to take the things that are difficult in OBS, or maybe just tedious to set up, or sort of anxiety inducing, like upgrades, or sort of making sure that that your plugins are going to work after an upgrade, and just solve it, right? Just move the level up for what you would define as easy, right?
Right.
The first, I mentioned it's kind of funny now because Meld is this complex software where you can not complex, but you can do a lot of really you can make it complex, in that you can create some really like advanced scenes and stuff. I only ever had one scene, right? I never had any overlays or anything like this. But one of the things I wanted to do early on was I wanted to round the corners a little bit. And I remember I went and watched, I think it was video from Nutty that I found, and at the time you had to create a mask in like another piece of software,
Right.
and that the rounded corners would be baked into that mask. And so if you needed to change the radius or you didn't get it right the first time or the dimensions of your source change, you had to go and recreate the mask. And it was like a 25-minute tutorial, and it kind of blew my mind. Um,
Right.
so that was another thing that we, sort of after the audio, we added, which is like just built right into the interface. You can just click and drag the corner.
Right.
Um,
A simple thing, but has changed so much for people where it's so difficult to do that previously. Are you up for
can I
asking
show
or
it, by the
answering a
way?
couple of questions? Yeah, you can show that real quick. There's a couple of questions coming in. If we can go to those, and then you can
Sure.
flip to that. So we've got the Frugal Streamer. Do you see Meld catering for more professional situations like church and conference broadcasting, similar to vMix, things like built-in color grading, NDI, SRT, etc.?
Um, yeah, that's a good question. I think we've been so the audience that we understand the best is sort of the Twitch style audience, which I would call like sort of the prosumer in a way. Uh, and there's a lot of people that go live and make their living and are producing some really, really interesting content. That's sort of where my story started, and that's the one that's sort of closest to home that uh, that we've spent the most time focusing on. One thing I'll say is it's like the best. Uh, I would say like I want to call it like productivity hack or whatever, but I would also describe it as thing that makes me the happiest is working on a product that you use yourself. And Meld is definitely that. And so it's certainly today it's catered to sort of where we came from. But as we grow and as we expand and as we look into other fields where live streaming is big, churches being one of them, we're certainly keen to see what we can do there. vMix is Windows only,
Hmm.
and it's uh it's an interesting user experience, I would say. A lot of the things in vMix. So, I think there's a lot of ways we can improve on that. And yeah, but we're not actively sort of chasing down the church and conference market just yet, but I think certainly we'll expand into that. Yeah,
Excellent, excellent. So, thank you for answering that question. If you want to go and share your screen and just show what you were mentioning about the rounded corners and the way that it is very easy to do that now in Meld compared to building something in Canva or Photoshop and then just producing those overlays. I'll
sure.
switch over when you're ready to share.
Boom.
Oops, there you are. Go ahead.
Okay, so here's my camera captured in Meld. And it used to be, this is a dev build, so you'll see some other information here that you don't normally see. Um, this is, if you want to round your corners, you just click here and grab it. Move the radius in, just like that. As
That's
easy
it.
as that. Um, and you can also do things like holding Alt, and this will allow you to break the corner, and now your corners can move independently. So you could make like, maybe a teardrop shape or something like that. Um, and we saw this and we realized it's quite popular that people are doing this on their video cameras. And we said, okay, can we make this even easier? And then we added this like quick action toolbar where now you can just make yourself circle
Right.
or something like this. And so these are the types of things where the most satisfying thing for us to watch, and I will say as a side note, like that one of the best parts of this job is that like we get to see people use the software. They pull it up on stream. We're able to see the first time people experience Meld. A lot of people set up Meld for the first time while they're live, and seeing them just go, oh, okay, wait. They just kind of play with it, right? And they, oh, wow, okay, that's interesting. And then people start playing with the effects here, and just seeing them discover things, and then they go, okay, wait, how do I add text? Okay. And it's just the first place they look, they find
Right.
it. And there's no confusion. And we've iterated on it a lot, and we're always sort of taking that feedback into account. But it's really, really satisfying today to watch someone sort of use Meld for the first time and try to set up all the common things. And I'll just point out here the thing I mentioned earlier with the configuring the mono track. You can just click mono and pick the channel that you want. Just simple as that. So
very good. Thank you very much. There's lots of other comments and kind words coming in for your software as well. I just wanted to ask you a question while you're in the interface. If people were just to use OBS right now and do a comparison, and I don't mean to compare, but obviously a lot of people are using it, how many plugins would you have to download from the OBS, because it's open source, obviously, and they can download whatever plugins they want to get what you're doing right now into the software? Because a lot of this stuff isn't built right in to OBS, which I know seems a bit crazy in this day and age where there's a lot of bells and whistles and availability to create scenes and so on, like we have in Ecamm and other software, even on the web-based tools. But to get this running in OBS, there's a little bit more of a sort of a learning curve, I guess, right? In order to get some of these plugins to get to do what you want with your camera effects, the rounded corners, even the sort of the mixing and so on.
yeah, I don't know. It's been, to be honest, I never used plugins in OBS with the exception of one to capture audio on Windows. It was the ASIO plugin.
Right.
So I'm not totally sure, but from what we've seen elsewhere, I think it would take a number of plugins, maybe 3 or 4, depending on the effects that you have. Especially if you start doing things like this. So I'll just create another scene and let's just do kind of a simple adjustment here. I'll put myself down here in the bottom and I'll take in, let's do a media source. We'll do like a rainbow thing. Yeah. Okay. And actually, I'm going to put this in my first scene too. So if you see that, let me slow it down a little bit. Advanced transition.
So you can slow the motion down between the camera sizing and the live motion effectively, or the whatever it's called in Meld. There's so many different ones. We call it Keynote, Magic Move in Keynote. I can't remember what it's called in the others.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
I think you can change the easing curve to a bunch of different ones. There's a lot of options here.
Right.
Probably too many options.
I noticed when I was looking through, thinking, which one should I pick just to get the motion transition done? So there's a ton of options, but it's nice to have options. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. So I think PowerPoint calls this the morph transition.
Right.
And there's a great plugin for OBS called the move transition. And basically the way that it works is if you have something with the same name in 2 scenes, whenever you change to the other scene, if you've made any adjustments, either in this case you can see like to the rounded corner. Let's also do something fun, which is I'll just rotate myself here. Anything that you've modified, we will smoothly transition to move you to the next scene where it exists in the next scene. So you can kind of build out these immersive scene changes just by laying things out, moving them around. And this is right out of the box. This is just the default behavior in Meld. If you create 2 scenes and you have your webcam in both scenes and you move it somewhere else, this is what happens.
I think Martin had
that wasn't always the case. We found over time that people were looking for something like that, and so we just made it the default.
Cool. Sorry to interrupt you. I know Martin had a couple of questions around the sort of he's our designer. Martin's designed so many different sort of overlays and things for Ecamm and has a flair for design. And I think he had a couple of questions just around sort of this morphing and the scene transition. So Martin, if you want to go ahead and ask your question to Joel.
Yeah, I will. Thanks for that demo, Joel. That looks really powerful. More powerful by at some distance than Ecamm is at the moment. We're kind of very restricted on what we can do, and we've been asking for the sort of timing and paths and things like that for a little while, but we only got the morph transition fairly recently, which we call live motion. One of the things in Ecamm which we can't transition, are shapes and text. And the reason behind that, so I am told by Ken and Glenn, the coders, is because shapes and texts don't have unique identifiers. So when you move from scene A to scene B, it doesn't know which square it is, and therefore it doesn't find it in the second scene, or if you've got multiple copies of squares or something like that, it just gets totally confused. So we don't have that on Ecamm at the moment. I'm just wondering whether you can transition shapes and text.
Yeah, let's try it. So what is the case now? So we have like a shape. Let's take a rectangle. And I will. So let's make like a stinger transition. Actually, we can kind of make this using.
Cool.
And I'm going to place it here. And then let me copy and paste it. It's going to be really bad stinger transition, but just as an example.
We're putting you on the spot.
Right.
There's no judgment here. It's no problem.
Just like that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Very nice.
See, now I'm looking at that and can immediately see the potential for hours and hours of fun playing about with that.
Yeah, and text should work as well. It's not one that I've tested, but let's hello world, and let me paste this. And if it doesn't exist in the other scene, it just smoothly fades out.
Oh, that's cool. So that's like a default. So if it's not there, you're just going to fade it out, as opposed to it just sort of like shifting off the screen or disappearing, for example.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. And let me add a. Let's make this slightly more interesting. Okay, rectangle. Let me delete that guy. Show. I've added a gradient to that,
Right.
and we can just take the opacity down, and yeah, so you can get really creative with it.
Works really
we have
well.
a ton of effects. I mean, these effects you may see in. We really wanted to bring in the power of what you can do in post-production. You know, if you like sit down in After Effects or Premiere Pro and you're applying these effects. We brought in like a lot of the really powerful effects that we liked from post-production tools. So something like corner pen is a good example, and this allows you to basically, let me show a quick example here.
Now this is perspective, is it? Corner pinning perspective.
Exactly. Yeah, it allows you to do what you might, the technical word for it would be like affine transformations. The more the plain English explanation would be it's what you need if you have a TV at an angle and you want yourself to fit in it. So let me just add here chroma key, and that already worked. And then I'm going to put myself in the TV. So let's make this bigger and put myself under it. And yeah, so since the TV is at an angle here, we would use corner pin to kind of just fit ourselves in a little bit. And
yeah, in the movie speak, it's called selling the effect because it looks very realistic when you start to make it more fit in with the actual scene itself. It looks cool.
Yeah, exactly. So this is basically just sort of transforming, sort of pulling the corners, stretching it out, and this allows you to kind of. We want to do a better interface for this, where you can just similar to the rounded corners, where you can just like click and grab, and now we can add this in here, and then the last thing I like to do is add a bulge to really give the immersion for that. Let me turn that guy off. And so let's raise the height up a little bit. All right. And yeah, and then these are super powerful. You can just, move them around. They work in stacking order. So one applies on top of the other. You can export them, share them with friends, drag and drop the preset of effects. That's actually how these are built. We just built these using Meld. You can go here and see exactly how they're built.
So that's cool. Sorry, and I think I missed that. So any of these effects that people can create, you can share them with your friends. So if you want to have a production in two places that looks very similar, then you can create everything here, export it, then re-import, so on. And that includes the effects and the position and everything. And yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you can just click
Fantastic.
export, and then you can save that as an effect preset and share it with someone, and they can just drag and drop it into their meld. And yeah, that's how we created these. So we just created nice presets that we thought people would like and exported them and built them into the product there.
Very cool.
And if you want to export the entire scene collection, we call it like a session, you can just go here and do import. We also support importing from OBS. So if you have like a really complex series of scenes and things you've created in OBS, you can click here and it will just import everything over.
Wow. All right. Are you up for answering a couple of questions? Because I've had to use my filter. So thank you to everybody, first of all, that's putting a Q colon in front of their question. It helps me search it easier just using Geekham's search facility, because otherwise I'd just be seeing a stream of questions come in. So I'll post them out, if that's okay, Joel, and I'll ask you the questions. So first one is, whenever you get round to it, other than the external monitor stuff, is BitFocus companion support a thing? Are you looking to do that? That's the sort of a Stream Deck on steroids, if you're familiar with BitFocus, where you can do a lot of sort of different sort of workflows and so on.
Yeah, we've had that come up a couple times. I don't have any experience with it, but I understand that it's sort of the production broadcast grade equivalent of what a lot of streamers are doing with the Stream Deck, and I know the Stream Deck added integration for it. So
that's right.
It's not something that we've looked into yet, but definitely something we're open to adding. And if you have any thoughts for what you would like to see with it, or how you would like to see it work, or things you like about the way it works in other products, or any ideas you think would be helpful for us, we're always open to chat. We take a lot of calls with users. I would say that's one of the big things we do. Is anytime someone has an idea, we say, let's get on a call, let's chat and flesh it out. And most of the users we've talked to at this point have seen the result of that call in Meld.
Very cool. We've got another question here about Meld mobile app, iOS projected in the future. I know we had a little chat about this in our pre-show yesterday, but maybe you can address this question.
Yeah, I was mentioning Neil and I were chatting a little bit last night, and so in the beginning, Meld started as Mac only. We were thinking that a lot of video editors use Mac. It's sort of the powerhouse if you're doing video editing, one of the more popular platforms. And so we started by optimizing for the Apple Silicon processors, which had just come out around the time. And we did that for I guess about a year. And we were thinking about either doing an iPad app or Windows. And we ended up going with Windows. And doing Windows in retrospect was a great call, because it changed everything for us. And now we support both platforms. But we're certainly thinking about doing some things with mobile. That's what I would say in regards to that. We don't have anything coming imminently, but some of the things that we're interested in are being able to sort of transfer. Let's say you're doing a cooking stream. Cooking streams, I have to say, must be one of the. I'm not a cook, but whenever I watch them with all the cameras set up in the kitchen and everything, I'm like, that has to be one of the hardest streams to produce yourself. Something as simple as like, I'm live on my computer, but I'm going to transfer to my phone, and now we're going to be in the kitchen. I'm just going to set my phone up, and then I'm going to connect another iPhone, and that's going to be used as a secondary camera, and then I'll be able to switch between those two cameras using my Apple Watch. Like, there's so much to do there that hasn't been explored that, frankly, we would love to take a look at. So certainly something we're thinking about.
That's cool. NDI is your friend there, I think, because a lot of iPhone, Android support for NDI connectivity. So if you get an NDI feed coming into Meld, then you get that flexibility of moving the phones around as well. But I like the Apple Watch idea. I'd love to be able to switch scenes doing that, and especially if you're using something like the OBSBot cameras. So you've got the ability for them to follow you and everything. So that'll be pretty good for cooking shows. There's a lot of love in the room as well for you. Just one guy said here, I just wanted to say that he's used Meld 7 days a week across 2 different channels, switched from OBS. So there's a lot of people switching and saying, you know, it's such a cool sort of workflow, what's happening at the moment with your demo and stuff. So fantastic stuff. Just trying to keep up with all the comments. There is that many.
Well, I'm going to jump in with another question.
Yeah, please go ahead, Martin.
While you're looking at the comments. Yeah.
Wait, what is Lux referring to there? He said that's really cool.
The transitions, basically what you were showing before, where you're doing the sort of the morph transitions and the ones with all the different scenes that you had between the cameras, and also the one where you were pinning the TV into, or yourself into the TV, should I say.
Cool.
Go ahead, Martin.
Yeah, I think, Joel, Neil was telling me there's a kind of a layered-based approach with Meld, where you've got effectively the equivalent of individual ISO recordings, but for the actual video elements from within Meld. And I was just throwing things around with Neil before we started, and I said, oh, does that mean I can record myself on green screen on a single track and then change effectively the background track for me from one recording to another? So I do recording A, me talking away on green screen, and I've got a particular background going, and then I repeat that again by just making a duplicate, by changing all of the background and whatever's going on in the background, but it's still me talking. So I could have me talking about my latest product release, but I'm wanting a load of information going on behind me on the green screen, and I just want to repeat that again, but I'm going to have different information behind me on the green screen and different pictures. So if you can isolate the different layers, I guess you can do that. Am I reading that correctly, the way that works?
So you're kind of giving away our big secret for what we're gonna build. I mean, we're calling it Meld V2. Yeah, we don't have layered recording today, but we have a really big idea. Neil, can I share it, or do you want to go over some other stuff?
He definitely wants you to share it, but he's obviously muted himself on this scene, I guess.
I have muted myself. See, this is a production. I was just saying all the love is in the room for you at the moment, so you can share whatever you want. This is your show. Go ahead.
Okay. So the way that I've been describing this is really everything in video today is like a JPEG, right? If you record in OBS, VCam, vMix, anything like this, and all these software have some way to represent like layered things, right? You have text that's on top of a camera, and you've applied these effects, and then you can move between different scenes. But your output of that, whenever you're done recording, you get a JPEG. You get a flattened video file that takes away all the information for the scene you were in, the effect that was applied, and you lose the original capture that came out of the camera. So this is something we've been thinking about that we think is a really, really big opportunity. And it kind of, this relates to another common question we get, which is, how are you guys going to make money if Meld is free? This we're going to charge for because we think it's that good. So the idea is that, going back to the JPEG analogy, someone sends you a logo and they say, can you make these edits to it? Can you change the color and delete this detail and change the font or something like that? And you go, okay, I need you to send me the PSD or the SVG or something like that. I need you to send me the file that allows me to edit it. We want to do the same thing for the output that you get from Meld. So basically what that means is we'll record everything as isolated. So all the layers that you have, we'll record them. Things that are vector, like a shape is a vector image, we'll keep that as a vector. And we'll create sort of our equivalent to like the PSD format. And so as you switch between scenes, we'll be recording things even that aren't in the scene that's visible. And so this allows you to give you a basically unlimited flexibility with editing your content after you've streamed or recorded. So you'll be able to go in and now you'll get everything on a timeline. So it's not even just about recording isolated video files. It's also store. It's we're going to put all the events that happen on a timeline. So this scene change happened, and this thing was visible, but now is not visible. This transition played out. There was like a fade transition that played out for 300 milliseconds or whatever. On the timeline, you'll be able to just go and adjust it, change the easing curve, change any of these things, and re-export it. And that will allow you to create original edits with different content because it was off screen or whatever, or lay it out in a different way. I want to put this on YouTube Shorts and I want it to be in portrait. Um, and so that's kind of the big idea. That's the thing we're really excited about. So today we've built sort of our capture engine for ingesting all these things, laying it out, building the layout in the interface. And so the next part of this is recording all these things, all these events, all these isolated layers, and then allowing you to edit it really, really easily after that.
That's definitely going to be a game changer.
I'm just
Go ahead, Martin.
Yeah, I'm just
Martin's
thinking
head
of
spinning
use
now.
cases. Yeah, so I'm just thinking of immediate use cases. Like we're producing training material at the moment, and should we get something wrong or miss something out, well, obviously we can edit and put a little bit into the middle. But let's say I want to change the slide deck slightly because I've missed something out, but I want to keep the recording of myself and the video. That can all stay the same, but I want to change the slide deck halfway through. I'll be able to change that track and change that deck, but keep the end-to-end 1 hour's worth of me talking, which I was fine with, but I just want to change those elements, or maybe I want to move things around slightly differently on the screen or something along those lines. That would save huge amounts of time in terms of
Yeah.
creating training material. Massive and massive time saving with just that alone.
Yeah, and then the other really common thing for live is oftentimes you'll have elements on screen that are sort of showing interactive things. Those are elements that I would say are relevant only for the stream, right? Let's say that you guys had, I know you're sort of picking chat messages out, and that's sort of how we're driving the conversation, but a lot of streamers just have like a chat feed or just a feed of events that are going on. For your recording, you may want a more pristine version. And today, because you get a JPEG out of all the software that's like flattened down, you have to crop it out. And if you lose some big important area that you wanted to show, it's too bad. But with this, you'll be able to just toggle the visibility off of the layer in Meld and re-export it. And now it just will, sort of everything that happened minus the chat overlay. So
Yeah.
we think making that, our goal oftentimes is like, what's our next rounded corner experience, right? Where someone opens it, oh, it's just that easy, right? Oh, it's just that easy to toggle off the thing that was in my live recording and re-export it. Can we absolutely nail that experience? That's what we're after next.
Well, I think as soon as you launch that, people will be very happy to pay for it. You can see already that people are saying, take my money first. You know, everybody's gagging for that. And I think, as Martin's mentioned, it's a great workflow because I do the same thing. I produce a lot of different sort of tutorial content. I made lots of mistakes when I first got hold of Meld in the video that I did that you were kind enough to watch and comment on. And I had to go back and do it all again. So if I had something like that available to me, I could have, as Martin said, just kept the dialogue going and then just maybe change my screen share and so on later. So that's definitely going to be a game changer, I think, in the content creation world and the repurposing world, because a lot of people love to obviously take the 3-4 hour live stream that they've done, whether it be gaming or whatever, chop that up, make it into sort of digestible content in other formats. But if you're able then to sort of mix that up and make the editing process a lot simpler, because how difficult is it now just to take all these different feeds and different sort of workflows and then just sort of edit it? I mean, I'm quite an experienced editor in Final Cut Pro. It still takes me a long time. I still have to do it in real time. You know, I still have to find the bits and so on and cut that out. So that would be fantastic.
The other thing I'll mention on it too is I think it's going to kind of change the way in which you naturally create content. So today, I think we're quite used to a workflow where you press record, you do a take, and then maybe you review it. It depends on if you're working offline, right? You do a take and you review it. And then you go, okay, I need to now capture my screen. So you're capturing all these things separately, doing it over again and again and again, and then sort of checking the footage. And then now you go into this other process where you edit it. And it's often hard to visualize what the end result will be because you're sort of capturing each little piece. It's like shot by shot, right? You know, if you think of like a movie production, it's like, okay, we're doing this shot, super close zoom in thing, and now we need to get this dialogue. But how does that all fit into the final cut? Pun intended, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But now we think this will sort of lead to a workflow where you can do one take capture. So you just press start record and you just do everything you need to do without worry of making a mistake. You will make mistakes, right? You may need to restart or do anything like this, but you can just go and just trim everything out and turn your turn your rough cut into a polished edit. That's the thing that we want to nail, and I think that will change the workflow in a really powerful way.
And to that point, there was a question here about, do you plan to be able to choose what audio tracks to include or exclude from clips, example, excluding music? I guess that's in line with basically what you're saying. If you're layering everything, including, and that would include audio, I guess, is the plan to do that as well?
Yeah, audio will all be isolated. Yeah.
Right.
We have this today to some extent. If you're streaming on Twitch, it's quite popular that if you want to play music while you're live and you don't want it to be in your recorded footage for reasons appropriate to you, then in our audio track, you can toggle on exclude from VOD. And so we sort of are using like an isolated audio under the hood for that. And that allows you to create basically two different mixes of audio. One is going to the live feed and one will end up in the recording that Twitch shows.
Right. And will there be parity between the two systems? Sorry, in terms of Mac and Windows, you're going to have the features available on both, or is one more I know we spoke about this today. Is one more complicated than the other to implement? I guess who's going to get it first is the question. I guess loads of people are going to be saying, is it coming to Windows first or Mac? Are you going to just push it out to both? Not to put you on the spot, and you don't have to answer that at all. I was just curious more than anything about it.
No, it's a good question. I will say it's really hard to develop for both platforms at once with our team size, but we're getting much better, and we're moving pretty fast, I will say. We develop everything for both platforms in parallel, with the exception of one thing where we were getting a lot of requests for virtual camera, and it seemed like at the time most of the requests were coming from Windows people.
Right.
And so we said, okay, all right, there's a thing with the installer on Mac that makes it a little bit tricky. So we're like, okay, we'll just deliver this for Windows users, and if we hear enough noise from the Mac side, we'll go back and add it. I think that's the only place where we've ever differed in the way the two products are shipped. Because at the end of the day, it is also easier for us if there's parity, like if they're the same.
Yeah.
Because we test it here and we know that it exists here, but as things start diverging between the platforms, now we have to test a different thing that exists on one. It gets complicated.
I was one of the people that sort of annoyed you on Twitter and said, why is there no virtual camera in here? I just want to use this in my Zoom calls or something like that. So apologies for that.
That's good, though. That's how it gets done. I mean, as we say a lot, the squeaky wheel gets the oil.
And to that point, when are we getting it? That's a comment from Ice Age Sen. You say these things, people are going to ask for it. You know that, right?
Yeah, we don't get timelines, but soon.
Okay, soon. You heard that here first. Soon. That's the catch-all.
TM. Soon. TM.
Maybe to your next point, will the next version be a one-time fee or a monthly charge? I guess your next version, you're just iterating. You've done a ton of updates, by the way, and I love the way that you guys listen to your audience. And there's a lot of people on Discord that sort of make suggestions and things. And I think that's one of the things that you guys, I know Ecamm do that as well, but there's a lot of love in the room whereby you are really tending to the questions coming in and you really listen to what the audience is saying and what your customers are saying. Because at the end of the day, they're driving the shaping of the product, right? And if you can make it better for them and serve what they're asking for, then all are good.
Yeah, that's something we spent a lot of I would say in a lot of ways, that's kind of like our secret sauce that we figured out, right? Like, what's the thing that is going to set us up for success? It's figuring out how to do releases every 2 weeks. I mean, it's really hard to release high performance software that requires and demands high reliability, and has basically no margin for error, right? Especially if you're recording something at 60 FPS or 120 FPS, we have 8 milliseconds to do everything we need to do. If we ship a bug that gets that wrong, everyone's recordings are unusable. Um, so we spent a lot of engineering effort on this, and we have been able to ship. We basically ship every 2 weeks, and everything auto updates. So the next time you open Meld, it'll be there. And that is something that allows us to move really, really quickly in a space where it's like, you get a couple of OBS updates per year. Um, vMix does like a big sort of annual release cadence. Final Cut Pro, sort of annual cadence, 20 is coming out
Yeah.
soon, I guess they announced. Um, all these creative softwares typically do an annual release cadence. We're
Right.
releasing things as soon as they're ready, every 2 weeks. As soon as it's ready, as soon as we feel good about it, it goes out. And we're able to do this with high reliability.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, knock on wood, I don't think we've had any issues in the years we've been doing it. So
And you,
yeah.
you have a beta program, right? So you have software that's available in the beta plan, but I guess at the moment now, because you're releasing so frequently and being very dynamic, then that is pretty much the GA or the general availability release for the software, right?
We do have a separate beta team, where I mean, I think it's open. People want to apply to be in it. Um, you basically get a week before everyone else.
Okay.
But people
But
really
in
like that, and it's something that really helps us, right? Because it's sort of the last barrier to see, is there anything that shows up in the wild? By the time it goes
right.
out to the beta, it's generally pretty close to being ready.
But the fact that you're upgrading every week, I mean, it's you're not really gaining much, are you, by being in the beta version? Let's be honest. I mean, it's just a week. I mean, if you're that, so if you really need that software within a week
Well,
time frame, then yeah,
well, like I said, it really helps us, so I encourage it. But yeah,
cool.
you get it a week early. I mean,
There you go.
if I told people right now I can get you Grand Theft Auto 6 1 week early, people would go wild.
Yes. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I'm just checking through the comments to see if there's any more questions. Just why is Joel the best boss ever? I guess your staff can answer that for you, but we'll leave it at that. Let's see if there's anything else. I guess we were talking yesterday about other stuff coming up, and I know you're releasing very quick. And when is your release cadence? I know it's every week. When is the release date? Is it typically at the end of the week, at the beginning of the week, or do you pick a time when it's available, or do you try and stick to a particular day when people are excited and the release is going to come up?
It has typically shifted around a little bit. So we're doing a big release on Friday, actually. If we have time, I can leak a little bit more.
You can
Maybe
leak
maybe
away.
that was
We've got to.
my
No, this
segue.
this was a tenuous link. This is why I was trying to sort of set you up for that. I know it was coming. So go ahead, Joel.
Just
You can have the floor.
and
We know what.
leak all over yourself.
Leak away, as it were. Yeah, go ahead.
Um, yeah, we're doing this on Friday. The problem with Friday releases is it means you have to work on the weekend to see if anything comes up, which, we've done for many years. I think at a point we were doing Tuesday releases, but yeah, at this point, I mean, for this one, we're so excited about it. We're just like, yeah, whenever as soon as it's ready, we're gonna get it out. The beta team has had this for a week, maybe a week and a half even. So let's leak it.
The big reveal.
Uh,
Go ahead. You want to share, and I'll switch over to you. There you go.
It's a dev build. There was something I wanted to show that, let me see if I can figure out how to. Okay, here we go. By the way, exclusive live hint. If you want to access the experimental features, you can click on the M and it will bounce for a few seconds, and then it will show you all the experimental things.
Wow.
These come and go, so don't get used to anything here. But sometimes whenever we're rolling something out, like we have this display cursor zoom. This is one where we're still kind of putting the polishing touches on. Let me pick. Let's see here. I'll just do my display. Show you guys how this works real quick. I think you guys will like this actually. So we can adjust the zoom. Sorry for the recursive capture here. And it will follow your cursor.
Oh, that's cool.
So we want to give you the ability to basically, if you hooked it up to a keyboard shortcut or a Stream Deck and you wanted to really zoom in very close on something here, I could show you like, oh, look at this.
This is great for demo. Sorry, Martin. I guess that's what you're gonna mention because I do this in post production right now. It's a pain.
And there's a whole bunch of programs out there like Cursor Pro and things like that. But the problem with them is they only work on sharing of a whole screen. So as soon as you want to share an app and then you want to zoom in on a particular area, it won't do it.
Yeah. This is a great addition.
So the thing that we're really excited to be releasing on Friday is we're rolling out support for two canvases for now. And you'll be able to enable it. And a observant viewer may have noticed, if you are using Meld today, that this is new. And this indicates which canvas you're currently working in. So I've just enabled it. It's optional, so you can leave it off and Meld will be the same as it is today if you don't create vertical content. But this will allow you to create content simultaneously or stream simultaneously to any platform that supports vertical streams. So Twitch, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, etc. And we made it super easy. We spent a lot of time prototyping this and going through different ideas and trying to get it so that it's really simple and intuitive. And I'm really proud of what we come up with here. So all right, so this is kind of how you get started. It gives you a template, or you can start blank. But I can click this, and it will now let me select my camera, and I will be able to select my, let's see, what is this window named? Yeah, okay, I'll just pick my code. Let's say this is a game. Imagine this is a game. And just like that, you're ready to go live on two platforms. So if you see here, whenever I select something, it now has a color that's associated with the canvas that you're working in. So in this case, it's sort of this like magenta purple. And if you watch this icon in the top left here, it's indicating that the layers list we're showing you is the layers list for your vertical canvas. But if you click here, it changes. And you can just copy and paste in between. I just pressed Control C, but let me do it this way so you can see it. Paste.
Wow, that's really cool.
That. And so you can take, even a group of things and paste them in here. So let's say that I wanted to lay out my landscape content like this. Then I can just do it that way. And so now you can record or go live with both of them, or clip from either canvas. And so this gives you the ability to, one of the common workflows we've seen is people want to create clips that they can post on their socials while they're live. So to sort of let people know and to sort of build some excitement off platform and lead them into your live stream while you're live. And when you're streaming, you're typically running like a one-person show, which is hard because you're sort of producing a live show, and then at the same time you want to do these edit. Well, let's say in an ideal world, if you had a team that was just watching you and picking the moments out of your stream that are really funny or really exciting, and they take that moment and now they post it on your socials, that would be ideal, right? But it's really hard to afford a team if you're starting out as a streamer. And so with this allows you to do exactly that. You can basically build a really nice layout here, take a clip, and share it to any social platform.
That's really cool. So you can basically, whilst you're live, you're streaming away, you can take a clip, a screenshot effectively from that vertical stream that format that you've just set up there, and then that can be posted to a social platform whilst you're still streaming. So you're just keeping that engagement going, but obviously creating that buzz around whatever you're doing as well, as you said. That's really cool.
Yeah, exactly. And then of course all the effects and everything work here. So you can turn yourself into a 90s camera. You apply some rounded corners there. And
Excellent.
maybe you want your recording to look like this for whatever reason.
That's really so they're completely independent of each other then. So the vertical stream can have whatever effects, whatever colors, whatever styling that you want compared to the main one. And then as you mentioned in the UI is going to be reflective of which element that you're in. Whether you're in the vertical stream, it's going to show you all the scenes and the various components on the left. And then when you switch over to the main widescreen, it's going to show and reflect that as well. And that's really could be really confusing if you'd put it all in one sort of container, but at least you've now split those out. So it's really easy to know which one you're on, especially if it's color coded, which is fantastic. So again, so easy for people to use.
Yeah. I want to make sure people see this animation if you haven't seen it yet. Look at that, slick. And we also are indicating here, so we have multi-streaming built in and free. I was actually, we released this, we were like working super hard on this and then released it and then moved on to the next thing. But it occurred to me that I was like, I think we're one of the first ones to basically build multi-streaming capability and have it be totally free. You can do an unlimited amount of destinations, as many as you want, any resolution, cool. Any quality, and just click go live and toggle them on or off. You configure them to be the default ones. So anytime you click go live, those will also go live. And it works great. So you can also now add, I haven't set this up yet, but you could pick your vertical canvas and I could enter my, in this case, I would probably do like my test server, but any platform here. And now we could see that my vertical output is going to go here.
And these are at different resolutions as well. I know obviously the aspect ratio is different, but you could have like one at let's say 1080 and one at 720 or something like that, or the equivalent of with the resolution. You can have a mixture of resolutions between each of those. Is that something you support as well?
Yeah, so you could do two.
Right, so like one at 4K and one at, okay. Providing you have the bandwidth, of course. But yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
Yeah, so that would be 4K. Go back to 1080 here. Oh. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
We got a bug.
That's all right. Got to get it fixed before tomorrow.
That is a dead build. I got to send it to the team real quick.
No problem. I'll let you come back to that in a second. No worries.
Okay,
that's
we're
awesome,
back. I wanted to show...
I think I might have lost your camera, actually. Let me just double check. Make sure I get your camera back. No, you're not screen sharing yet, are you?
Oh, did it go away?
Yeah, I think it just killed it in Zoom, yeah.
Oh, I should have pretended that I accidentally clicked the unshare button.
There you go. Well, you should. Yeah, there you go.
What crashed?
We would have believed you. No problem.
It's all right. We've got layered recordings here, and we'll edit it out later. Nobody.
Yeah, don't worry about that. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect. Yeah. If you're watching live, do not tell anyone, and I think we'll be good to go. Okay. So let me just pick the. Let's pick this again. I'll just leave this unpicked, and let me put myself here. Okay. One of the other things that we're really excited about that's going out in this release is we're adding what we're calling an encoder view. This kind of started off as like a debugging tool because it gets really complicated to like follow every output with a unique size. So in this case, like the vertical and the main canvas needs a separate encoder. And you only have a finite amount of resources. So call it 8 right? Or something like that. So we're well under that budget. But as we start to build out this isolated recording feature where you could be, recording tons of things, it's really nice to see where the how everything's being routed. And yeah, so this is the goal here is to kind of give people a view into what's going on under the hood that will allow them to self-diagnose things or see where things may be delayed. Let's
Yeah.
say that your network's delayed. We may want to show that here. In this case, we can see I have clipping turned on. So this means that at any moment I can just click clip, and that will give me a 90-second clip here that I can. Oh, it's not sharing the screen, so you can't see that. But anyways, it gave me a clip, and I can now replay that. But it's so if you didn't have this view, you would be unaware of the fact that we have to be running an encoder to give you the ability to clip, because we clip retroactively for the previous 90 seconds from the moment you press the button. And you can see here that we're running an encoder to support this. And if you turn off clipping, then now there's no encoder. If I start recording, then now we can see that it's going through this encoder. Again, we only have one, and it's getting written to a video file. And we can see the bit rate and all the other things. If I now go live, let me make sure I'm okay. This should be a test server, hopefully. Okay, so now it's live, and we can see how the audio's flowing. So this is our master audio track. It's going through this encoder, and let me close this. And before I mention this VOD track, so let me add another audio source here. Let me do display capture, and I will just pick this. We'll add an audio track. Okay, if that were producing audio, you would see it here. Let's say I don't want that to be in my VOD track. I can now click this, and you can see if we go back to the encoder view. Well, if I were live on Twitch, which is where this is supported, you would see that now we've spun up another audio encoder that is taking the output of your VOD track here and sending that to Twitch. And so we are, let's see, okay, maybe that's the one that we want there. But encoder view. Okay, so now you can see the levels for the VOD track mix, and you can see I'm not sending anything to the VOD track because I excluded the only audio source, which is my microphone at this point. But for the live stream, the master mix is being sent, and we can see here that that has levels. And we can see how if you hover over it, you could see its flow all the way through. So my audio from the master track will be in my live stream, and it will be in my recording. And if I were clipping, turn this on, it will also be in the clip.
I absolutely love that. I love the troubleshooting aspects of this as well, because, if something's going wrong, you're not sure where the output's going, or if there's a problem with the actual stream. I mean, this is really cool that you can and I love the way that it's visualized. It's really easy to see. It's very nodal, like the effects that you get in DaVinci Resolve where you're doing color grading. It's a very similar workflow, and I love the way it's laid out. And the visualizations on it are just fantastic. Looks really cool.
Thanks.
I really like it.
We do quite a lot of complicated streams where we're going from eCam to restream and then pairing restream
All kinds of nonsense
with multiple other locations. So, and then we're just at the beginning of the show, we're thinking, are we actually live in all these 10 different places we're pointing at?
And is the
so to be able to
working?
visualize it would be amazing.
Yeah, I love this. And this is supported
here I've
on
just enabled-
Windows and Mac as well. I keep asking the question,
Yep.
because
Yeah, this is working on all platforms. So today I'm showing it on Mac, but our beta testers are already testing it out on Windows.
That's amazing.
So here I just turned on clipping, and I set it to use the vertical canvas.
Oh wow!
And I don't know why I can't scroll. There it is. Okay, I set it to use the vertical canvas. We can change the format here, etc. And before there was the vertical canvas wasn't being used. It's being shown, but it wasn't going anywhere. And now I can see for the clip output that this is the case. And I can stop recording and let me change my recording output to be the vertical canvas and I can start recording. And now if I hover over this, I can see that the vertical canvas is being used for two outputs.
Right.
And the main canvas is being used for one. It's going to the stream. So we'll probably continue extending this to, because things are only get more and more complicated. People want to be able to do multi-track audio recordings where only some audio tracks get recorded to some audio files. This is sort of a workaround, I think, in many cases for isolated audio recordings. But then when that's the case, it's really nice to see, okay, I would like to see everything that's in this audio mix and how loud it is and where it's going. And so as that sort of rolls out too, that will show up here and you'll be able to really get insight into that.
And I just wanted to point out as well the efficiency of your software right now. If you look at what it's running, it's peaking at like 5% CPU or something, like using 1.9 gig of memory. I mean, is that what's being consumed from the software side of things?
This is hidden in the production build because it's not accurate.
Okay, all right.
This is
all right. Ignore what I've just said.
use.
Then it still look good.
Yeah, CPU usage is this is quite good, especially considering the fact that we are running right now. Well, whenever we were doing this, and we can see we're running two video encoders and one audio encoder, and we're using 5%. So
amazing.
That's pretty good. As we turn these off, we can see how they impact the CPU usage. And stop recording. A little bit, not much. That's the beauty of a hardware encoder, is that it offloads everything. So we drop by, what, 1% there?
Yeah. Looks good. A ton of questions you've created for yourself now on the chat. If I may ask a couple of those questions real quick to you.
Yeah. Meld didn't crash. I stopped sharing.
Nothing crashed. You're good? You're still
Nothing
good?
crashed.
Nothing crashed.
Let me pull up chat. Okay.
So how do we get this view? I think is one of the first questions. I think you just showed it, but we can just go back to your share real quick.
Oh, I stopped sharing. Keep an eye out on Friday when this rolls out. We will show you how to access it.
Okay, cool.
And if you open Meld, we don't know the time yet it's going out, but if you open Meld on Friday, this will all be there automatically.
Amazing. There you go. Quick question for you. Will Meld be integrating Elgato Marketplace Connect functionality? You do have Stream Deck support right now, don't you? You have some Stream Deck actions available for Meld, I think.
We support a lot. We have a really advanced Stream Deck plugin, actually. So we have a WebSocket API that a lot of people have used to integrate with us. We expose everything over it. So anything, any property, anything, any effect, anything you could do in Meld is all exposed over the WebSocket API. And you can use most of that from Stream Deck. We also support Stream Deck Plus. You can use the dials to change the audio volume and a bunch of things. So
got one right here. Cool.
Yeah, we've definitely been in touch with we're speaking with the Elgato guys.
Great.
Yeah, we don't have anything to announce in terms of the Marketplace Connect functionality, but we're certainly in touch with the team there.
Fantastic. We are 20 past 6 already. We've been going on. I mean, we could go on all night. It's fantastic. I'm going to give a last call out for questions to the chat. I mean, it's been an amazing response today. It just shows how popular and how well liked this software is and how much of an impact it's making to the streaming community. So that is perfectly clear just by the amount of comments we've been getting today. There's another question real quick. Will the chat and stats from Twitch or YouTube be integrated soon?
Yeah.
Okay. You heard that here first.
Actually, I'll say. So I leaked one update. The next two updates I actually think we're gonna do like 2 updates in the span of a week, basically.
Oh, wow.
We have something else coming down the pipeline we're really, really excited for. and it's going to show up soon, and it's going to be big.
Okay.
The next releases are going to be really big.
The teasing is again now. Is there a near-term plan to support streaming on TikTok?
Yeah, so this is one of the ones where, look, we have an open door, but a lot of these teams can be hard to get in touch with, specifically TikTok. So we're open to put some work in and make it a great experience to go live with TikTok. Can't do it unless they talk to us. So if you have a contact there, or also the other strategy that works really well, like sometimes we reach out to companies and nothing happens. And then one user will reach out to that company, and then immediately we hear back from like the perfect person at that company, and then things start happening. So we often tell people, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. So
exactly,
go squeak to TikTok.
You've got to be a pest, I think. Good question here from James. How can we support you and Meld Studio? Thanks, James. Really appreciate you joining as well today. So how can we support you?
Great question.
Well?
I had to look to make sure it wasn't a Meld employee. Yeah, the best way to support us is just to share it with other people. I mean, we don't do any traditional ad spend or anything like that. Everything that we do and everything we spend our energy and our time and our money on is really centered around the community. We do events. We do live streams sometimes. We work with, we jump on a lot of calls with creators and to get their ideas. Chat with people like Neil who make videos about Meld. So spreading the word, or we love to see when Meld spreads organically. If you like it, share it. That's the absolute best thing you can do for us.
Absolutely. And let me just
is to share it with others.
Let me just say it's been an absolute pleasure for you being on the show today, and so insightful. And I, for one, really love your software. I mean, I hadn't heard of it before, and then just picking it up and running with it and doing the video was just great. And it's been a great experience, and I just love the new features, all these elite features that you've heard here today coming up. Really appreciate you being transparent and open with what you're sharing, and we're really looking forward to the release tomorrow and all the things that are coming down the pipe. And we'd love you to have you come back on the show if you wouldn't mind maybe in a week when you've done all the updates. No, I'm kidding. In a little, give you a little bit of time to get all these updates done and so on. And but we'd love to keep in touch and come back on the show because I've really enjoyed myself today.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun. I appreciate you having me on. We need to, maybe we can do a stream where we figure it out. I would love to get the setup you guys have where you're looking at the camera with like eye contact.
Elgato prompter is what I'm using, and Martin's got a huge screen behind it. But yeah, let's have a catch up and talk about studio builds and things like that, because that's what we love doing with people as well. There is one more question coming in if you're up for answering it. Where can you purchase Meld merch? Do you have a merch store? Can we purchase merch?
We were working on merch. That got a little complicated when the tariffs hit.
Yeah.
So who knows? I would love to have some, but at this point, right now, with the way things are going and the supplier we were working with, don't know.
Right.
Undefined timeline.
No problem. May I just squeeze one last question in? Because I think I was going to ask this question and somebody's reminded me. Any future plans for stream chats? So I think they're talking about augmenting chat directly into what we have. I mean, right now I'm using Ecamm Live, and that's got obviously chat built in. So I guess right now you have to use like Social Stream Ninja or something like that to get the chat in, right?
Yeah, I would refer you back to my previous tease, which is the next 2 releases for Meld are going to be really big.
Wow, I think we're going to have to rebrand the show, Martin, to be exclusive.
In the Meld.
Yeah.
Sorry? I was going to say nobody in the Meld team's getting Easter off, are they? Obviously.
No, everybody's working over Easter, typically. You have to release something on Good Friday. That's all I'm saying. Fantastic. Well, hats off to you.
I will say we released our first Windows build on like January 1st. So
oh wow, that's impressive. That's impressive.
Yeah, it was a busy holiday season. Yeah.
Well, Joel, it's been an absolute pleasure. If you wouldn't mind hanging around the Zoom room just for a couple of minutes, just so we can sign off properly. If you've still got a little bit of time, just so we can say goodbye to you just before we close the stream. But Joel from Meld Studio, CEO, founder, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show today, and come back soon, and best of luck with your product. Looking forward to all the updates.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you, Joel.
Thanks for the questions.
Thank you.
Thanks for using Meld.
Wow. Follow that, Martin.
Wow.
I can't
I'm
really.
hugely impressed by the product and some of the innovations and the way that the dual live stream has two separate windows which are totally independent. I've seen some versions before where they just live streamed the center of the picture, which just seemed a bit bonkers to me to have two bits either side of you that don't really do anything. And but the idea of having two separate canvases, I think, is superb. The layering is great. The fact that you can directly interact with elements on the screen rather than going through pop-up menus saves time as well. And in terms of workflow, all of the ideas that Joel mentioned I can see being massively useful to lots of people. We're doing training videos at the moment. There's 250,000 trainers on the Udemy platform with 50 million customers. So they're producing a lot of stuff, and if they could get hold of a quicker way of doing things, then this could potentially be it, and we should make a video on that then.
I was just going to say, I feel a new Meld course coming on and pushing on Udemy to show how good Meld is for people who are doing Udemy courses. There you go. That's a good workflow. Well, speaking of courses, Tenuous Link, we have a course out at the moment, and it's all about going live on LinkedIn. Let me get rid of the guest CTA. If you want to come and join us and sign up for the course, it's not available just yet. It will be released very soon, but you can click on the QR code there, go to streamprofiles.sellfy.store. Sign up, get your free digital download, which is a kit list, which we recommend for sort of starting up and going live on LinkedIn. Doesn't have to be LinkedIn for the kit list. It could be anything you want. It could be your first live stream. You could actually use Meld for it as well. Lots of things that we could do. But thank you, Martin, again, for putting all these graphics and everything together. It just looks absolutely fantastic. And looking forward to launching the course maybe next week. We just see how we get on with all the edits that I've got to do in Final Cut Pro. And we've got some people helping us out with some of the edits as well. So, yeah, really looking forward to that.
Yep, that's going to be great. I think it'll be the week after. I'm on holiday next week.
Yeah, it probably will be. Yeah, you can have some time off now. You've done so much work on this. Yeah, you deserve some time off. Anyway, thank you again to Joel for joining us. It's been a fantastic live stream tonight. I've really enjoyed myself. Great to see Meld Studio getting so popular and so much adoption. It really deserves it. It's a fantastic product. The team have done so well. With that, goodbye from me in Portugal.
And cheerio from Edinburgh.